Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Hello and welcome to the ZimmCast. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. In this episode, I'm sharing my preview interview for the AgGateway Mid-Year Meeting with President CEO Brent Kemp. Additionally, I've got a few comments regarding AI, or artificial intelligence, for those of you who haven't heard of it. But really, AI is moving fast, and besides, it is a topic for the AgGateway meeting. I'm slow in producing a ZimmCast episode for several reasons. One's that I haven't been traveling for work, and additionally, I've done a little research about how AI has affected things like agricultural marketing and communications. Additionally, I did a post on AgWired titled, Safeguard the Human Person in Time of AI. I hope you enjoy it and feel free to comment. I focused on the encyclical letter published by Pope Leo. It's not just about AI, but really it's about people. So let's get started with my interview with Brent. Brent, first of all, introduce yourself to us. Tell us your name and what you do with AgGateway.
I'm Brent Kemp. I'm AgGateway's President and Chief Executive Officer, and my job is to make sure that our members have the best experience possible, whether it's in our in-person meetings, our working groups, or getting the most out of the resources and relationships that they develop within the organization.
Well, let's go ahead and get started here because this is one of your key meetings of the year, and that's the AgGateway North America Mid-Year Meeting, which as it has been for some years now, will be held in Altoona, Iowa at Prairie Meadows. So kind of let's start there. What's the theme for this year, for this meeting?
It's interesting that you ask about themes because we don't typically have one for our mid-year meeting. It's really focused on getting work done, ideating, spending a lot of time just kind of taking a deep look at the industry, especially focusing here in North America, and identifying those business problems that need to be solved collaboratively, pretty competitively, and typically with data and data standards. So we've got a lot going on in that space, and really looking forward to the conversations and the work that comes out of it.
Well, let's see. We're starting Monday, June 8th, there for a couple of days. There are, several different categories of types of meetings done there. So let's just kind of give a little bit of an overview of the working groups and committee meetings.
Our mid-year meeting is structured a little bit differently this year. We've taken a page from our very successful annual conference last year and broken it out into a couple of different tracks. So we have our working groups and committee meetings, kind of the organizational bread and butter. And a lot of the work that's done in there is for things like the AGIS resource or our ADAPT family of data standards and data interoperability toolkits and things like that. Then we have our meetups and professional development track. And that's where we do the ideation. That's where we focus on making sure that the attendees who come to our conference come away with something valuable for their business, for their own careers, and for the industry at large, obviously. So some of the things that we have in that track would include our ag retail breakout session that really is going to be a series of roundtables and ideation and some conversation starters and see where things go. And we're excited to see what comes out of that. We also have a session in there about implementation divergence in standards. And I'm particularly excited about that one because over time, some of the standards and implemented messages that AgGateway members have taken on, developed, and really gotten a lot of business value out of over the years. Some of those messages date back to the early 2000s, and in some cases, maybe just a smidge before. And they were developed for ERP systems that had certain limitations for business processes and ways of doing business in agriculture that have evolved over time. And what we have come to understand is that as those systems have evolved, as they have gotten more capable, as they're able to store more and do more for a business, and as agriculture, the relationships and business processes that are going on in agriculture have evolved, some of our standards have been tweaked to accommodate that, and not always through formal processes that socialize across the implementation community. So that discussion of how have messages diverged, can we get them back to a place where we agree on business rules, we agree on the uses of identifiers and things like that, um, and start to set out what's the next generation of messaging. I'm really excited about that. That's a lot of our bread and butter. We are retooling our Gateway education uh, coursework, and this is really to work with not only first-time attendees for the conference, but also reach out to our member companies and say, hey, you've got young professionals, you've got folks who are coming into new roles where their jobs touch interoperability, data, business process, all of the things that you come to rely on AgGateway for. We want to bring some of those folks in and really be intentional over the course of a year about helping them understand what the state of the industry is, how they can contribute, the value that their organizations get out of participation and implementation. And this is kind of a pilot track of that, with the idea of having a larger rollout later this year and of course into 2027. And then finally, we've got the organizational stuff, right? The things we have to do, the board meetings, the steering committee meetings, the decision making that goes on to help move AgGateway forward. All of that over the course of 3 days.
Well, you do have a little bit of time for people to get together, and it's a neat way of doing a welcome reception. As the AgGateway's Night at the Races. Tell us what we do there.
Yeah, the Night at the Races is really fun. We've done this the last 3 or 4 years now, I guess. And one of the advantages of going to Prairie Meadows is, of course, they have the track. And within the last 5 years, they've started having those Monday night races. It used to be it was on the end of our week, and we never got to take advantage of it unless we had folks coming in really early for the following week. But now that they have racing on Monday nights, we just get the group together out at the racetrack. We have a good time. We've got food. We've got opportunities for networking. We get to see the horses run. And then some of our members sponsor a couple of the races. So we get to see member company logos flash up on the winner's screen at the end of the race. It's kind of cool.
Well, you have a general session and keynote presentation, and I think it's interesting because we're going to be talking about the future of standards. But I also just recently you had an Inside AgGateway webinar, which essentially went through things like the AI ripples through agriculture, and it looks kind of like there's going to be a little bit of that kind of conversation when you got AI and you've got standards, and what happens. How does that work together?
Yeah, a lot of folks are still trying to answer that question, and in a number of different contexts in which AgGateway participates. So yeah, the webinar that we had earlier was really kind of a peek into the working groups, the current portfolio, and where AgGateway is going in the future. AI is certainly a part of that. People will ask, if you have artificial intelligence, if you have agentic AI, what's the point of data standards? I can, do what I need to do and have my machine kind of understand all of this stuff. And I don't need formalized standards to make that happen. But what we're finding is people try and make that connection and make that bridge, is that there's still a need for standards. There's still a need, not just for understanding what the structured data is and what the business intent is behind that, but also a semantic layer underneath that enables systems to understand exactly what it is that they're intending to exchange, separate from the message itself. So Jim Wilson, our Chief Technology Officer, is going to be presenting a keynote on exactly that, and he's going to cover what's going on in technology at large, what's happening in agriculture. He may touch on one of the groups in ISO's Technical Committee 347 on data-driven agri-food systems that AgGateway is a part of. And unlocking the value of an AI-ready standard, making sure that standards and the documentation that goes along with it is consumable, understandable, and usable by an AI. So there's lots of things going on there where the standards and interoperability resources still have a role to play, and our job is to share what we know about that.
Yeah, I can, speaking as, some of the information that I get, like news releases from agribusinesses of all kinds, I'd say within the last 4 to 6 months, it's a huge percentage are announcing their AI product, agent, app, whatever you want to call it, but there's just a lot of them, and they're mostly ones that they've created for their own new product launch and what that's going to do and how that's going to work. And so we've seen it kind of start, but it just seems like it's rapidly growing bigger.
For sure. And there's a lot out there, right? Some of it is really cutting edge stuff. Some of it's really neat what organizations are able to put together. And some of it is kind of a rebranded chatbot. And there's everything in between.
That's right. Anything else you might want to say about this year's event? Encouragement for, I know it's coming up right away here, but if they haven't registered, they can still show up if they want to, right?
Absolutely. Registration is still open and will be open through the conference. You can go to our website, www.aggateway, that's AgGateway.org, and register there. Or you can register on site. If you happen to be in the area, come on by to Prairie Meadows. We'll be there Monday through Wednesday, and look forward to seeing all of our attendees. Want to especially thank our sponsors, without whom we could not make these conferences happen. All of our attendees for coming out and doing the good work for the industry.
All right. Well, I am looking forward to hearing about it, since I will not be there this year, but I'm glad that we were able to talk about this and give people a little bit of preview if they haven't really thought it through, and maybe now that'll help them decide, oh, maybe I should be there. So thank you very much, Kent, for visiting with me here. And I'm Chuck Zimmerman. With some AI research, as in ChatGPT, I looked into the changes in using news releases. This is very important to ZimmCom, since we have the oldest completely ag news release service, and that's AgNewsWire. The information that I found relates to all industries. Basically, we're seeing a change in how important news releases are with various other channels to reach customers. One point is the cost to send news releases, which with some services can be from $800 to $1,200 or more. Again, with AgNewsWire, we have a very clean list of contacts to send news releases, and we still only charge $525. Additionally, we post the release on the AgNewsWire website, onto our AgWired website, social media channels, and also our biweekly e-newsletters. Our open rate is significant and very high by industry standards. If you have any questions and comments or just want to chat, I'm always open and appreciate it. So that's the ZimmCast for now. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.